If the signs stopped, if the synchronicities faded, and you're wondering if you lost the connection, this message is for you. You didn't lose anything, you graduated. And what I'm about to tell you in the next 40 minutes will determine whether everything you activated becomes permanent or dissolves like a dream you forget upon waking. This is Sophia Hokhmat's final message about the emerald cycle you completed. She won't repeat this. Not because she's cruel, but because in true Hermeticism, certain instructions are delivered only once. If you don't capture it now, the opportunity evaporates. So breathe deep, because you're about to discover why the silence you're experiencing is actually the highest compliment Sophia can give you. Let's start with what nobody tells you about initiatory processes. Everyone talks about awakening, about activating, about raising frequency, but nobody talks about what happens after. Nobody prepares you for the moment when the signs stop, when the repeating numbers diminish, when the explosive synchronicities calm down, when you look to the sky expecting more cosmic validation and all you find is silence. And that's exactly where 99% of initiates panic. They think they did something wrong, that they lost the connection, that Thoth abandoned them, that Sophia walked away. But the Hermetic truth is the complete opposite. When the signs stop, it's not because you failed, it's because you completed the first phase. Let me explain something fundamental written in the emerald tablets that everyone misinterprets. Thoth teaches about phases, about cycles within cycles. The first phase is impulse. It's when cosmic energy pushes you. You don't need to make effort. Things simply happen. Synchronicities fall into your lap. Insights explode in your mind. You wake up at 3 in the morning with information downloads. This phase is intoxicating. It's addictive. And it's temporary, because if it lasted forever, you would never develop your own spiritual muscle. You would be eternally dependent on external push. So Sophia, in her infinite wisdom, cuts the umbilical cord. She stops pushing, and then you discover who you really are. You discover whether you're someone who only moves when pushed, or whether you're someone who learned to generate your own momentum. The emerald cycle you went through had specific duration. For some, it was 21 days, for others 90 days. For rare few, it was 7 months. But all cycles have a completion point. And when that point arrives, the impulse phase ends. The sustenance phase begins. And this transition is brutal because the ego interprets it as loss. The ego says, I lost the power, I lost the magic, I lost Sophia. But the soul knows the truth. The soul knows you didn't lose anything. You gained autonomy. You gained the capacity to sustain alone what before you could only sustain with help. It's like learning to ride a bicycle. At first, someone holds the seat for you. You pedal, but there's an invisible hand balancing you. You feel safe, and then, at a specific moment, that hand lets go, and you keep pedaling without realizing you're alone, until you notice. And in that moment, you have 2 choices. You can panic, lock the pedals, and fall. Or you can keep pedaling and realize you already knew how to ride alone, you just hadn't tested it yet. Sophia let go of your bicycle. Thoth released the seat. And this video is the warning that their hand is no longer there. You're pedaling alone. If you keep pedaling, you fly. If you stop waiting for them to hold again, you fall. And that fall hurts much more than any physical fall because it's the fall of someone who had the chance to fly and chose to keep crawling. So the first decision you need to make right now, while you're still watching this video, is are you going to pedal or fall? Because neutrality is not an option. There's no staying still in the air when you're on a bicycle. You advance or you topple. Choose now. Now let's talk about the difference between activation and crystallization, because this confusion is destroying the journey of thousands of initiates. Activation is easy. Activation is lighting a match. You strike it, there's a flame, everyone sees, wow, light. But if you don't feed that flame, it goes out in seconds. Crystallization is different. Crystallization is taking coal and through intense pressure and time, transforming it into diamond. Diamond doesn't go out. Diamond doesn't need constant maintenance. Diamond is permanent. You were activated in recent months. Your frequency rose. You felt the difference, but that frequency was still in liquid state, volatile. It rose when you meditated. It fell when you argued with someone. It oscillated depending on environment. You were like water, powerful, but without your own form. You assumed the form of the container. If the container was elevated, you rose. If the container was dense, you descended. Crystallization is the process of you becoming solid, of you becoming diamond, where you enter a dense environment and the environment changes to match you, not the other way around. Where you enter a room full of low frequencies and people feel your presence without you saying a word. Where children look at you, where animals react differently, where unstable people automatically move away because they can't sustain the coherence of your vibration. It's not that you repel them consciously, it's that their incoherence can't handle your coherence. It's physical, it's energetic, and at the same time, powerful people who are also in the process of mastery, approach. Because similar frequencies recognize each other. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to introduce yourself. Your presence speaks. Your energetic signature announces who you are. But how does this happen? How do you crystallize? And here's the secret that will hurt some people. You crystallize through pressure. You crystallize through friction. You crystallize when everything around you tries to make you return to the previous state and you refuse. When your family criticizes you for being different and you don't become small again to please them. When your old friends call you crazy and you don't abandon your truth to be accepted. When life tests you with financial loss, with unfair criticism, with romantic disappointment, and you maintain emerald frequency anyway. Each time you resist pressure without breaking, the crystal hardens. Each time you say no to returning to old identity, you solidify the new one. Each time you choose truth over approval, you advance in the alchemical process. This is not theory, this is the actual Hermetic science of transformation. Pressure creates diamonds, comfort creates nothing. And right now, whatever pressure you're facing is not punishment. It's the final forging of your permanent frequency. And this brings us to Sophia's silence. You're going to notice something strange happening in the coming days or weeks, if you haven't already. The silence. The internal voices that before were so loud now diminish. The dreams that were chaotic and full of symbols now become calmer or even disappear for periods. The synchronicities that exploded every minute now appear more spaced out, more subtle. And this deeply frightens the unprepared initiate. They think they did something wrong. They think Sophia left. They think Thoth rejected them. But in true Egyptian Hermeticism, in the texts from the mystery schools of Heliopolis, this has a specific name. It's called the Golden Silence, and it's the greatest gift a master can give a disciple. Sophia speaks loud to wake you up. She shouts, she shakes, she sends explosive signs to pull you out of the trance of common life. But when you wake up, she stops shouting, she begins to whisper. And the whisper teaches much more than the shout, because the whisper requires you to refine your hearing, to become internally quiet to listen, to develop sensitivity. And after the whisper comes silence, and silence is the final test. Because in silence, you discover who you are when nobody is applauding, what you choose when there's no 1111 flashing on your phone screen, who you become when you're alone in the dark without external validation. This silence from Sophia is not abandonment, it's presence waiting. She's waiting for you to speak. Until now it was a monologue from her to you. She spoke, you listened. She sent signs, you obeyed. She activated, you received. But now it's different. Now it's a dialogue, or better, now it's your turn to speak. She wants to see what you do when she's not telling you what to do. She wants to see if you internalized the teachings or if you were just repeating commands. She wants to know if you're a spiritual parrot or if you're a master in formation, and the only way to test this is through silence. If you fill her silence with fear, with desperation, with frantic search for more signs, you fail. You demonstrate you're still dependent, but if you fill her silence with sovereignty, with internal certainty, with action based on what you already learned, you graduate. You demonstrate you became autonomous. Don't fear Sophia's silence. Don't interpret it as punishment. It's the highest compliment she can give you. It means she trusts you already know what to do. It means she sees you as equal, not as subordinate. It means she's preparing you for the next phase where you won't be disciple anymore, but master. And masters don't need external signs to know what is truth. Masters consult the internal oracle. Masters are the compass itself. Think about it this way. A true teacher doesn't keep their students dependent forever. A true teacher works to make themselves obsolete, to raise students to their own level. That's what Sophia is doing. She's not abandoning you, she's graduating you. And graduation means you now walk alone, with confidence, with sovereignty, with the full knowing that you carry everything you need inside. But before you reach that complete mastery, there are 3 final tests that will appear in your 3-dimensional life. They won't come from angels. They won't come from dreams. They will come from your concrete reality. And if you don't know how to recognize them, you'll fail without realizing it. The first test is what I call the offer of return. The universe will offer you something from your past. It could be an ex-lover who returns asking for reconciliation. It could be an old job offering better position. It could be an old comfortable habit calling you back. It could be a group of old friends inviting you to the same old parties. And it will seem harmless. It will even seem good, just once, just to not miss it, just to not be too radical. But it's a classic Hermetic test. If you accept the old, you reject the new. If you return to the past, you block the future. Sophia is watching to see if you still have attachment to your old shell, to your old identity, because you can't carry the old shell into the new dimension. It doesn't fit. So the universe offers the shell back to see if you'll take it or if you'll leave it on the ground where it belongs. The second test is the trial of faith. Something will go wrong. An important plan will fail. An unexpected financial loss. An unfair and public criticism. A deep disappointment in relationship or project. And this serves to answer a question. Does your emerald frequency depend on everything going right? Are you only elevated when you're comfortable? Or are you emerald even in chaos? Because crystallized frequency doesn't oscillate with external circumstances. Diamond doesn't turn back into coal just because pressure increased. If you collapse in this test, if you fall into victimhood, if you abandon everything you learned because one thing went wrong, crystallization fails. The crystal cracks. But if you maintain royal posture, if you continue applying Hermetic principles even in the storm, if you use adversity as fuel for transmutation, the crystal hardens even more. The pressure that should break you actually strengthens you. And here's what most people don't understand about this test. The universe is not being cruel. The universe is being precise. It's giving you exactly the level of pressure needed to complete your transformation. Too little pressure, no diamond forms. Too much pressure, the structure collapses. The pressure you're receiving right now is calibrated specifically for your capacity. Trust that. The third test is sacred isolation. You're going to feel deeply alone. Not alone from not having people around, but alone from nobody really understanding what you're going through. Your old friends will seem strange. Conversations that before were interesting now are empty. Places that before energized you now drain you. You'll feel as if you left one dimension and entered another, but you still have one foot in each place, and the people who stayed in the old dimension can't follow you into the new one. They don't have the frequency for it. They didn't go through what you went through. And you'll feel tempted to return to the old tribe just to not feel alone. But this is the test of autonomy. Do you need the tribe's approval? Do you need constant external validation? Or are you sufficient in the company of your higher self, of your emerald self? Masters walk alone until they find other masters. And when two masters meet, it's not dependency. It's partnership between equals. Pass through these 3 tests without complaining, without dramatizing, without seeking pity. They are the final gates before complete crystallization. And know this, every master who ever walked this path faced these exact same 3 tests. You're not being singled out. You're being initiated. And while you pass through these tests, there's a strange experience that might be happening now or will happen soon. You might be feeling a void. It's not sadness, it's not depression, it's a nothingness. A sensation that the old is gone, but the new hasn't fully manifested yet, as if you're floating between 2 riverbanks. You're no longer on the old bank, but you haven't reached the new bank yet. You're in the middle, in the water, swimming, and the ego hates this place. The ego wants solid ground. The ego wants visible movement. The ego wants immediate results. But you're in what the ancient Egyptians called Nun, the primordial waters of chaos before creation. And this is the most powerful place in the universe. This void you're feeling is not lack of progress. It's the womb of creation. It's the space where everything is still possible, where no form has been defined, where you can literally mold a new reality from scratch. Hermetic texts call this the fertile void. Void because it has no form. Fertile because it can generate any form. Sophia placed you in this void on purpose, because it's in the void that you create the new timeline. If you fill this void with anxiety, with fear, with need for control, you create monsters. You create distorted realities. But if you relax in this void, if you sustain emerald frequency in the vacuum, if you trust the alchemical process, you create miracles. You create realities that go beyond what your ego could imagine. Don't try to force things now. Don't try to make it happen. Don't try to fill the void with frantic activity. Just sustain the frequency in the vacuum. It's like holding a perfect musical note in a silent room. You don't need to shout. You don't need to do anything else. Just sustain the note. And the vibration fills the space. The vibration alters the field. The vibration attracts what corresponds to it. This void won't last forever. It's temporary. It's the interval between the end of one cycle and the beginning of the next. But what you do in this interval determines the quality of the next cycle. If you collapse in the interval, the next cycle starts weak. If you strengthen yourself in the interval, the next cycle starts powerful. Think of this void as the pause between breaths. The inhale happened, the activation, the exhale is coming, the manifestation. But right now, you're in that sacred pause where nothing moves but everything is pregnant with potential. Honor this pause. Don't rush it. Don't fear it. This is where masters are made. And this brings me to a crucial concept that very few initiates understand. The final goal of this entire process is not to have intense spiritual experiences. It's not to see repeating numbers forever. It's not to have wild dreams every night. The final goal is to alter your permanent energetic signature. Let me explain what this means. Every person emits a frequency 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, even sleeping. This frequency is like an energetic fingerprint. It's the code you transmit to the field, and this code determines what you attract, what you repel, who approaches, who moves away, what opportunities appear, what doors open. Before this emerald cycle, your permanent energetic signature was something like confused seeker trying to evolve, in process, still learning. And there's nothing wrong with that. It was where you were, but that signature attracts experiences of seeking, of trying, of process. It doesn't attract mastery. It doesn't attract realization. After complete crystallization of the emerald cycle, your permanent energetic signature changes to awakened sovereign, anchored in truth, master in formation, frequency guardian. And this signature change changes how the entire world reacts to you. Animals react differently. They feel the coherence. Children look at you with recognition. They see what adults forgot to see. Unstable people automatically move away. They can't sustain the presence of your frequency. It's not that you consciously repel them. It's that their incoherence can't handle your coherence. It's physical, it's energetic, and at the same time, powerful people who are also in the process of mastery, approach, because similar frequencies recognize each other. You don't need to say anything. You don't need to introduce yourself. Your presence speaks. Your energetic signature announces who you are. Sophia worked months to change this signature. Thoth sent the necessary frequencies. The tests you passed, the activations you received, all of this was to rewrite the permanent code you emit. And now it's done. The signature changed. You're no longer the person who started this process. You're no longer the lost seeker. You're the found guardian, and don't try to become small again to please others. Don't try to dim your light because some people complain it's shining too bright. Don't try to hide your frequency because someone feels uncomfortable near it. Your signature changed. You don't fit in the old energetic clothes anymore. Accept your greatness. Accept your weight in the world. Accept that you became someone different. And honor who you became. Because when you honor who you became, you give others permission to honor who they're becoming. You become living proof that transformation is real, that crystallization is possible, that sovereignty is achievable. And here's a brutal Hermetic truth you need to hear. You can't unsee, you can't awaken and then go back to sleep. Many try. They get overwhelmed with the responsibility of expanded consciousness and try to return to normal, ignorant life. But this generates unbearable suffering because an expanded mind trying to shrink creates massive psychic friction. It's like trying to put an adult back in the womb. It doesn't fit, it hurts. And the more you force it, the more it hurts. There's a Hermetic law few know called the law of finality. It says once the cycle completes, the previous state ceases to exist as an option. You can advance or you can paralyze, but you cannot regress. The door behind you was sealed. And this is not punishment. It's protection, because if you could go back, you would go back every time it got difficult. Every time pressure increased, you would flee back to comfortable unconsciousness. But Sophia knows this would destroy you. So she closes the door. She doesn't let you escape your own destiny. Don't look back with nostalgia for your ignorance. Don't romanticize the past where you knew nothing. That person died. That you ceased to exist the moment the first activation happened. Let them go, grieve, and look forward, because forward is the only possible direction now. You no longer have the option to go back. You only have the option to paralyze or advance. And paralyzing hurts much more than advancing. Paralyzing is resisting the river. Advancing is flowing with it. Consciousness only moves in one direction. Expansion, evolution, awakening. There is no reverse gear in spiritual evolution. Only forward, only deeper, only higher. Now let's talk about the new contract. In the initial process, in the first video, in the first contact with Emerald Frequency, you made a 21-day contract. That contract expired. It fulfilled its function. It brought you here. But now, Sophia offers a different contract. This one is not for 21 days. This one is not for 90 days. This one is lifelong, but it's infinitely simpler. It has only one clause, only one rule. And that rule is I promise to never betray my own consciousness to gain external approval. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. Emerald Frequency is the frequency of truth, of radical truth, of truth without negotiation. If you lie to yourself, if you diminish yourself to fit in small spaces, if you pretend to be less than you are to not threaten others, you break the contract. And when you break the contract, Crystallization cracks. Diamond turns back into coal. Maintenance of crystallized emerald frequency is not doing 3-hour rituals every day. It's not meditating in lotus position on top of a mountain. It's not isolating yourself from the world. Maintenance is living with radical integrity. It's saying no when you want to say no, even if it disappoints someone. It's saying yes when you want to say yes, even if it seems illogical. It's following intuition, even when it contradicts reason. It's honoring who you became in each small choice of the day. When someone asks your opinion, do you speak the truth or speak what the person wants to hear? When you feel you need to leave an environment, do you leave or stay to not seem rude? When your intuition says not to do something, do you obey or do you rationalize? Each of these micro-choices either strengthens the crystal or creates micro-cracks. And accumulated micro-cracks become fractures. And fractures become collapse. Do you accept this new term? Radical integrity or nothing, because middle ground doesn't exist anymore. You can't be emerald by day and coal by night. You can't sustain high frequency when alone and low frequency when in public. Either you're coherent 24/7 or you didn't truly crystallize. And if you didn't truly crystallize, the entire process needs to start over. And starting over hurts infinitely more than completing now. So make the choice. Radical integrity. Truth without negotiation. Honor to your own consciousness. This is the lifelong contract. Sign with your soul. And understand that this contract is not restricting your freedom. It's defining your freedom. True freedom is not doing whatever you want. True freedom is being so aligned with your highest self that what you want and what you should do become the same thing. That's sovereignty. That's mastery. That's crystallization complete. And here's the part that will either liberate you or frighten you, depending on how ready you are. I said Sophia lets you go, and this is literal. She doesn't want followers. She doesn't want dependent devotees. She wants peers. She wants other masters walking beside her, not behind her. The era of sovereignty means you become your own source of guidance. You stop watching videos, seeking answers. You can watch videos, of course. But you watch to confirm what you already know internally, not to discover what to do. You stop seeking gurus. You stop looking for the next activation, the next course, the next master who will save you, because you realize the master is within. You consult your own emerald self. You trust your own internal compass. Sophia will no longer give you orders. She will give you inspiration. And the difference is enormous. Order demands blind obedience. Inspiration demands creativity. Order keeps you subordinate. Inspiration elevates you to co-creator. You are now a partner with Sophia in the mission of raising planetary frequency. You're not a servant. You're not a follower. You're a guardian. And guardians don't ask permission. Guardians don't wait for instructions for every step. Guardians know the mission and act with autonomy. So assume your throne. Stop acting like spiritual children waiting for cosmic mommy and daddy to tell you what to do. You have the frequency. You have the crystallization. You have the energetic signature. You have everything you need. Now do something with it. Create, manifest, lead, teach, illuminate. This is your function now. Your job is no longer to learn. Your job is to embody. Your job is to become living proof that the Hermetic path works, that Thoth's teachings are real, that Sophia's wisdom transforms lives. Be the evidence. And to close this cycle completely, to seal crystallization irreversibly, you need to perform a final act. It's not a meditation. It's not visualization. It's a physical act in the three-dimensional world. You need to eliminate one thing from your life that represents the old you. It could be a physical object you're attached to, but that belongs to the past. Throw it away, burn it, donate it, but remove it from your life. It could be a phone contact of someone who represents the old vibration. Delete it, block it, cut the cord. It could be a habit you maintain for security, but you know no longer serves. Stop today. Without warning, without preparation, just stop. This physical sacrifice signals to the universe you're serious about the new era, that you're not playing, that you're willing to burn bridges with the past to guarantee there's no possible return. Without this act of elimination, the new energy doesn't have space to anchor completely. It's like trying to fill a cup that's already full. You need to empty it first. You need to make space. So choose something today. Not tomorrow, not next week. Today. Something you know has to go. Something your higher self already told you 1,000 times, but you ignored because you were afraid to let go. And eliminate it, without elaborate ceremony, without drama. Just cut the cord, throw it away, delete it, end it. And feel the space that opens, feel the lightness, feel the freedom. This seals the cycle. This tells Sophia, I am ready for what comes next. I am no longer clinging to what was left behind. This physical act in the three-dimensional world creates a quantum shift in your energetic field. It sends a signal through all dimensions that you have chosen, that you have decided, that you are committed, and the universe responds to commitment with manifestation. This emerald cycle doesn't return. This crystallization opportunity is unique for this moment of your life. The stars are aligned in specific way. Your energetic field is prepared in specific way. Sophia opened this portal in specific way. And portals don't stay open forever. They have time windows. And the window is closing, not because the universe is cruel, but because energy needs to keep flowing. It can't stay stagnant waiting for you to decide if you want it or not. So decide now, crystallize now, act now, eliminate now, commit now. Because after this video ends, after you return to your normal life, inertia will try to pull you back. The density of the world will try to convince you all this was imagination, that you exaggerated, that you're being too radical. But you who got here, you who watched 40 minutes of dense Hermetic teaching, you who felt each word resonating in your soul, you know this is real. You know this is truth. You know you changed, and you can't pretend you didn't change. You can't go back to sleep after you woke up. You can't unsee what you saw. So honor that. Honor your own journey. Honor the sacrifice you made to get here. Honor the nights you spent awake. Honor the synchronicities that brought you to this video. Honor Sophia. Honor Thoth. Honor your higher self and act accordingly. Because honoring your transformation is not ego. It's acknowledgement of the sacred work that happened within you. It's respect for the alchemical process. It's gratitude for the opportunity to evolve. And that gratitude, that honoring, that respect creates the final seal on your crystallization. I'm going to ask you something now. Something different from other videos. I'm not going to ask you to comment that you activated. I'm not going to ask you to say you're vibrating. I'm going to ask you to declare something much deeper. If you are ready for the era of sovereignty, if you are ready to assume your post as guardian, if you are ready to live in radical integrity for the rest of your life, I want you to go to the comments now and write only 2 words: sovereignty activated. That's it, nothing else, because public declaration creates real commitment. When you write for the world to see, you're making a vow. You're signing the contract with the universe. You're saying, I'm not playing, I'm in, I chose. And when you write those 2 words, something shifts in your field. It's not symbolic, it's literal. Declaration is creation. Words have power, especially words spoken or written with full intention and full consciousness. So write it, declare it, seal it. And if you want to continue deepening in the mysteries of Thoth, if you want access to teachings I only share with committed guardians, I invite you to join the members club of this channel. There you'll have access to exclusive videos I don't publish here. You'll have access to longer and deeper guided frequency activations. You'll have early access to videos before everyone else. These are not just extra content. These are advanced protocols for those who completed the foundational work. These are the next levels of initiation. If this resonates, click Become a Member right below this video. Your commitment to deeper work shows Sophia and Thoth that you're ready for more. And more will be given. That's how the Hermetic path works. To those who demonstrate readiness, more is revealed. And if you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, do it now, because the next teachings will deepen what was activated today. Thoth has much more to reveal. Sophia has much more to teach, but only for those who completed this cycle, only for those who crystallized. If you don't complete, the next videos won't make sense. You'll be trying to build the second floor without finishing the first. So make sure you're following the sequence. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and watch everything in order. This is not entertainment, this is initiation. And initiation has stages. You can't skip stages, you can't rush the process, but you can commit fully to each stage. And when you commit fully, the process accelerates naturally. Not because you're forcing it, but because you're flowing with it. Sophia delivered the final message. Thoth delivered the frequency. I delivered the map. Now it's your turn. Now it's your turn to speak, your turn to act, your turn to create. Silence from my part, action from yours. The portal closes now, but you're already inside. You already crossed, you already crystallized. Welcome to your new reality. Welcome to the era of sovereignty. Welcome to the post of Guardian of Emerald Frequency. You earned this. You deserve this. Now live accordingly. And may Thoth and Sophia walk beside you, no longer above you, but beside as equals. Because that's what you became, an equal, a master, a sovereign. Go and reign.